Hola, hola. I am super excited to talk about fierce communication. It is my jam. It is really what I'm passionate about because I believe that there's a direct link between your ability to fiercely communicate, and I'm talking about raw, honest, genuine, really talking about who you are, and your ability to create your ideal sex life, that juicy, delicious, intimate, connected relationship, either with yourself or with your lover or lovers. So if there is something that is in your heart that you are unable to talk about because you're hesitating, because you have doubt, because you're afraid, and there may not be anything wrong with you per se or the person that you need to say this to, it may be that you're afraid that they may take it personal. It may be that you're afraid that they may not even understand, and therefore there's no point in talking about it. You may think it's a waste of time to talk about it. Or you may feel that you may not want to mess things up. And I get this so often when I talk to people, and I ask, well, why aren't you talking about what you're feeling genuinely in your heart? I don't want to mess things up. I don't want to mess things up. And I find there to be a bit of a contradiction there. I cannot talk about what is really on my heart because I don't want to mess things up. But aren't you messing things up by not creating a relationship that is really genuine and honest, and you feel really free and comfortable talking about uncomfortable truths? So I almost feel that your relationship is as strong as your ability to talk about uncomfortable truths, because they're gonna come up. They're gonna come up even if you're having an amazing relationship. It may be something like, we're great parents, we get along, he's funny, I enjoy his company, and I'm also bored in our sex life. Or we just started dating and things are really vibing, and the makeout is so good, and the foreplay is so good, but then he penetrates me and comes in 2 seconds and doesn't take care of me afterwards, and I don't know how to talk about that. Or it may be that you have different erotic personalities. It may be she wants all the foreplay and I actually just want to kind of get it in and out, and we have a disconnect in the way that we enjoy pleasure, and we don't know how to talk about the fact that we have different erotic styles. So whatever it may be for you, as I'm talking, you should feel something, and you should know what situation you're in where there's an inability to really openly and generally communicate. And this is a practice. Fierce communication is not something that we're just born with, that just happens because we love each other, or we've been together for a long time, or we have great chemistry. Fierce communication is something that needs practice, but you also need a setting for it. You need to create a stage where you can fiercely communicate, and that's usually possible by talking about how to talk about difficult truths or uncomfortable truths. Having a conversation about, hey, when there's something uncomfortable, when there's something that I'm unsure, when there's something that I may think that I may offend you or trigger you, how do we navigate those topics? And that's the first step. Having a conversation about how you may navigate difficulty and challenges is almost like putting it in a savings account. It's almost like saving, people say saving for a rainy day. Can you save some tools for the difficulty in communication when it comes up later? Because fierce communication is something that you're only as good as the last time you practiced it, in a way. Maybe you were a fierce communicator at the beginning of the relationship, or when you were dating, or even yesterday, but today you're hesitating and doubting and feeling afraid to talk about something. And, I have to be really honest, even as a coach, and I'm with my lover, husband, soulmate. And, for us to call each other soulmates, I've hesitated in the past to express some things, because I felt, man, I don't want him to think that we're not soulmates anymore, or I don't want him to think that there's something wrong with him or something wrong with us. And I almost feel that we get closer when we are able to talk about difficult truths. That the times when I've hesitated, and it has been over simple things. I remember, and maybe I've talked about this in a different video, where I wanted a different type of touch. And a part of me for a moment thought, man, I'm being too much or too complicated, or and that fear. So every time I have this fear of I'm being too much, I'm being too complicated, he's not gonna take it well, I know that that's a sign that that's something that I should lean into and explore. And trust me, it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of setting containers and finding the right vocabulary for each person. And each erotic type has a vocabulary that resonates a little better with them. And if you don't know that, if you're operating from different, think of love languages, but erotic languages, maybe the way you operate erotically is different. The way you talk about things is different. And it's about finding bridges. And this is something that I work a lot. I almost feel that fierce communication is the biggest chunk of the coaching that I do with people. And yeah, there's sex and techniques and all that kind of things, and trauma or blocks, but building the ability, the container, the tools to fiercely communicate, it's essential, and it's impossible for people to create their ideal sex lives if they cannot do this. So the invitation today is be honest with yourself. Is there something that you're unable to say because you're afraid, because you're doubting, because you're hesitating? And can you give the other person, because I feel like it's a disservice not only to ourselves but to the other person if the other person is involved, because we're not allowing them the chance to receive our truth. We're not allowing them the chance to receive our truth. And that's a muscle that needs to be exercised. Maybe the first time you're really honest with someone, it's a shock and they don't know how to take it, and it may take a little fine tuning so it can be smooth again. But maybe the second and the third and the fourth time, it becomes something a little bit more easy, a little bit more fluid. So give people in your life the opportunity to handle your truth, and give yourself the opportunity to be able to be fully self-expressed, because I feel that we're living in a world where we're not showing up sometimes authentically, and there could be a whole lot of things affecting that. But that's something worth exploring and worth expanding. And whether you get a coach to help you grow that area of your life, whether you read a book or watch a podcast or this video, it is essential. It is essential to have that fierceness, and you're gonna feel so much better afterwards. I always find with my lover that after I go over that little moment of hesitation, that I feel a lot closer to him, and that I feel that I'm really being myself, and I feel more alive and fulfilled. And in the end, isn't that what we want? To feel alive and fulfilled. And if you're unable to be fully self-expressed, to be fully who you are and talk about your truth, whether it's comfortable or not, then you're not allowing the full potential of light to radiate through you. So that's my message today. Leave a comment if you're dealing with something, if you're unable to communicate, if it's something that you're navigating, and just know that it's just a matter of practice and tools. And I may be actually doing a course very soon on fierce communication, because it's all over the place, and I'm feeling called to do it, because I think it'll be a great service to many people. So have a beautiful day, and see if you can practice some fierce communication today.